Musk intends to use the reusable ships to land people on Mars in January 2022. SpaceX will attempt to launch its futuristic bullet-shaped Starship into orbit, but he isn't optimistic about the first test flight's success. Hello and welcome to Elon Musk Daily. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and hit the notification bell to get updated with technology trends. We bring you the video related to SpaceX's launching the Super Heavy in the near future. There's a lot of risk associated with the first launch, so I would not say that it is likely to be successful, but we'll make a lot of progress, Elon Musk said during a virtual meeting hosted by the National Academy of Sciences. Musk expressed confidence that Starship will be launched for the first time atop a mega booster and will reach orbit in 2022. SpaceX plans to launch valuable satellites and other payloads into orbit on Starships in 2023, after a dozen or so orbital test flights next year, he said. NASA has signed a contract with SpaceX to use Starship to transport astronauts to the moon's surface as soon as 2025. Musk intends to use the reusable ships to land people on Mars in the near future. The gleaming stainless steel Starship and its first stage booster, named the Super Heavy, will be the world's largest rocket, standing 394 feet tall. Musk noted that the rocket's liftoff thrust will be more than double that of NASA's Saturn V rockets, which sent astronauts to the moon half a century ago. The Super Heavy has yet to take to the skies. However, in May, a full-scale Starship prototype flew to a height of over 6 miles before landing safely at the SpaceX complex near Texas's southernmost tip. According to Musk, the Starship and Super Heavy for the first orbital test flight have both been completed. The company hopes to finish the launch pad and tower by the end of November, with testing beginning in December. According to Musk, the Federal Aviation Administration should complete its review by the end of the year, allowing for a launch in January or February at the very latest. According to Musk, SpaceX has covered about 90% of Starship's development costs so far, with NASA covering the rest through its lunar lander contract. He didn't say how much had already been spent. Musk intends to build a number of Starships in the near future. He estimates that 1,000 of them will be required to make life truly multiplanetary, which is his ultimate goal. He believes that something natural or man-made, such as a pandemic worse than COVID-19, declining birth rates, nuclear Armageddon, or a direct hit by a killer comet, will eventually bring civilization to an end. For preserving the light of consciousness, he said, it's critical to get people to Mars and other planets as soon as possible. When Musk spoke at a virtual meeting of the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine's Space Study Board and Board on Physics and Astronomy, he said while opening the ceremony, "So what we're aiming to develop with Starship is a generalized means of transporting large amounts of mass or people, but in general, large amounts of mass anywhere in the solar system. If you can have a fully rapidly reusable orbital rocket, then the cost of transport of a ton to orbit drops by 2 orders of a magnitude, maybe better." The Falcon 9 rocket's reusability has lowered the cost of launching satellites into low Earth orbit. If the reusability of the Super Heavy rocket is successful, the cost of sending humans to the Moon, Mars, and beyond will be reduced by several orders of magnitude. Musk further explained that the vehicle is so large. Scale is one of the factors that aids reusability. The electronics that control the vehicle's brain, for example, do not become any heavier depending on whether the vehicle is large or small. As a result, avionics that control inertial measurements, sensors, and other components are rounded down to almost 0% of the mass of the large vehicle. However, for a small vehicle like a spaceship, that would obviously be a much bigger issue. Musk also stated in his presentation that the Raptor engines used in Starship and Super Heavy have the most advanced engine cycle, which is the best from a physics standpoint because you can extract the most amount of momentum for a given amount of fuel or propellant. The current version of the Super Heavy rocket is the Booster 4 prototype, which will be used for the first orbital flight test with Starship 20 mounted on top. Booster 4 currently has 29 Raptor engines installed at its base, which will be increased to 33 Raptors before launch, according to Musk. At liftoff, the 33 Raptor engines will produce 12 million pounds of thrust, which is roughly 2.2 to 2.3 times more than the Saturn V's thrust. We're hoping to do the first orbital test flight in January 2022, Musk said, referring to the most likely date for the first Starship orbital launch test using the S-20 plus Booster 4 prototypes. The orbital launch pad and launch tower at the Starbase will be completed later this month, according to Elon Musk's comments in the presentation. This will be followed by some tests in December, with the goal of launching Starship into orbit in January. However, a NASA document previously revealed that the National Space Agency will be monitoring Starship's thermal burn as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere in March. However, given Musk's timeline of January 2022, this must have been rescheduled. Another interesting aspect of this online meeting is that Elon Musk's youngest son joined him in the first few minutes of the presentation, surprising us with his adorableness. Even if SpaceX wanted to, it couldn't launch the mission right now because the US Federal Aviation Administration is conducting an environmental assessment of Starbase's orbital launch activities. The FAA expects the review to be completed by December 31st, according to FAA officials, and SpaceX plans to launch soon after. For Starship, SpaceX already has a few customers. For example, Yusaka Miyazawa, a Japanese billionaire, has reserved the vehicle for a flight around the moon, with a launch date set for 2023. NASA chose Starship as the first human landing system for its Artemis program earlier this year, which aims to establish a long-term human presence on and around the moon by the end of the decade. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson recently stated that the first crewed Artemis moon landing will take place no earlier than 2025. The deadline had been set for 2024 by the agency. Over time, SpaceX hopes to use Starship to assist the colonization of Mars, making humanity a multi-planet species, a long-held and frequently stated goal of Musk's. As long as we set up some propellant depots along the way, a Starship could even help humanity planet hop from Mars to the dwarf planet Ceres, the largest object in the asteroid belt, to the moons of Jupiter, Musk said. And in this grander vision, such journeys would involve more than just a few Starship craft, scaling up production to meet the anticipated demand, particularly for the engines. Given that each Super Heavy will be powered by 33, will be a significant challenge. But according to Musk, SpaceX is already preparing for it, noting that the company is building the factory to make lots of Starships and lots of engines in parallel. The factory is located in McGregor, Texas, and it is where SpaceX conducts its engine testing. So apart from this, what else is SpaceX up to? Well, recently in December last year, the NASA Ixpe satellite was launched by SpaceX's Falcon 9 to study black holes, neutron stars, pulsars, and other astronomical objects. The first imaging X-ray Polarimetry Explorer, or Ixpe satellite, was launched into equatorial orbit by NASA with the assistance of SpaceX. The Ixpe satellite's mission will be to investigate the laws of nature on an astrophysical objects that humans can't replicate in labs on Earth. The remnants of supernova explosions, such as neutron stars, black holes, and pulsars, are among these objects. SpaceX launched the NASA Ixpe satellite into equatorial orbit from Launch Complex 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, using its Falcon 9 reusable rocket booster. This is the first mission of NASA's Launch Services Program, or LSP, which will launch from 39A. The Ixpe X-ray Vision satellite is launched into equatorial orbit with a 0-degree inclination, which is unique to this mission, along the equator of the planet Earth, at the height of about 600 kilometers. That said, this is it for today's video. So what is your take on this matter? Tell us in the comments. If you want to see our upcoming videos, ring the bell icon, and don't forget to like our video as well. That's all from my side. Thanks for watching.